Hey everybody, welcome to another drive-through, rundown, flyby, walkthrough, drive-over review. This won't be necessarily a review, more of a little walkthrough of the game. We're talking about Bora Bora here, just released from Aaliyah and Ravensburger. It's the new Stefan Feld game. I thought I would just give a quick little walkthrough here. I've only played it once. I plan to play it more in the coming days and give a full proper review. Going to try something a little bit different here, maybe separate the two videos out. This one will give you a nice sense of the game. I'll give you some caveats and some things that I like about it, and then you can plan to see a full review in the near future. So here we've got a wide shot of the board here. We've got the main player board up there in the middle. That's the main board where players will be placing their huts over on this little island set up here. And then you've got all kinds of tiles, just a whole mess of all kinds of things that'll score you points and do different special abilities and all kinds of things. You got some God cards up there. I set out one of each. You'll be using those. Those are going to be very key to and sort of enhancing your typical actions and allowing you some greater flexibility with what you're going to do. So if we look down here at the personal player board here, you can see we've got some huts set up here. We haven't put a hut out on the island yet to start the game. We're going to do that first. And then on the left-hand side over here, you've got a sort of iconographic dictionary here of all the different things in the game. So if you look at the top here in the upper left-hand corner, you're going to have sort of a little trading. So you can see you got a 1-for-1 there at the top. You got a little 2-for-1 there at the bottom there. And then you've got in the middle here all of these tiles here. These are diagrams of the tiles. So you can see there on the left-hand side a man and on the right-hand side a woman. So you're going to be recruiting these people into your tribe, so to speak, to give you special abilities and gather basically victory points and shells and stuff like that for you. And then there's a little diagram here of the 5 different God cards. You can see at the top there's blue, white, red, green, and yellow. They tell you how those work, a little reminder. And then some end of game bonuses, and then this little fire thing where you get bonuses there. So there's a lot also going on the board here. Basically what you're trying to do, I'm going to tell you how you do this later, but basically the way that you're going to score points, especially at the end of the game, is building these buildings here. Now you're going to get different goods and put them in this little configuration here, and then once you get two sort of adjacent, you can take an action to build that building there. This will give you some points depending on which round it is, as well as some special abilities. And then over here you've got your huts, and to clear space here is what you're also trying to do to get these huts out on the island there. That will also clear space for a man or woman tile here. So you can see you've got sort of the man blue and the woman orange or whatever. So you're going to put these here. So you're going to get a lot of points as well at the end of the game for clearing this off, and even more points if you fill it up completely with folks. And then down at the bottom here you've got these task tiles here. And this is an interesting thing. So each round you're going to try to complete one of these. So like this one, for example, if you have 3 huts on the board, then you'd be able to complete that and score some points. And then at the end of the round you'll be able to draw some new ones and then add them here, and then in the final round you want to try to score all 3. So the end game is a little bit different in this. It's kind of an all or nothing. So you're only going to get bonus points if you clear all of these, or fill all this up I should say, or if you clear all of these. So you kind of have to go for one or the other sort of, but you're still going to get special actions and abilities by clearing the space and building the buildings and things. And then in the interesting part of the last round here, normally you only complete one of these per round, and again you're going to do that in the last round, but then you may be able to draw a new one and complete all 3 again to get even more bonus points. So if you complete 9, so there's 6 rounds, 1 per round, and then at the end of the last round you complete all 3 that are there, that'll be 9, and you get some extra bonus points in addition to the bonus points here that you can see if you get 6 or 4, and I'll explain that in a second here. So you're trying to really clear out your board here, and there's some other things that you can collect out here on the board. If you zoom in over here, you've got these set of jewelry tiles here, and these are going to give you points. So each round you can see there's 6 columns here. You're going to be able to buy these at the end of the round, and some of these may tie into your task tiles. This is a selection there. So if you have 2 of this type of jewelry here at the end of a round, you can score that and get that bonus points there. On top of the points there, you can see in the upper left-hand corner, you can see the amount of points there, and then in the lower right-hand corner is the shells that you need to buy those. And then up here we've got a temple space, and then sort of an influence space there. Above that says the temple space there, and the influence space. You're going to score even more points there. So there's just a ton of ways to score points. You can score points here with these little fishies here. You can score them during the game, and at the end of the game, if you've got one of your little huts there on top of this space to give you resources, you'll score points as well. So there's just 1,000 ways to score points in this game. And so that's one of the caveats. I think if you are not a Stefan Feld fan, you're probably not going to, this isn't going to win you over. You know, you never know. This is a little bit higher production value than his last few games anyway. But let me talk a little bit how you play the game first. So on the corner of the board, you get a simple little breakdown of your turn. You've got A, B, and C. First thing everybody's going to do is roll 3 dice, and then you're going to take actions individually, 1 dice at a time per player. Then you're going to be able to activate your man and women tiles for their special abilities, and then you do sort of like a little cleanup type deal there. So first thing I might do is roll some dice. I get these dice here, and then these action tiles are going to be sort of the engine of the game. You're going to be placing dice on these tiles and be able to take different actions with them. So the dice is a very interesting way that these work. So if you wanted to say buy a man or woman tile here, so you would use this here. And these are set up for 2 players. There's a different set of configuration and also some extra tiles with more players. So what I might simply do is I may take this 4 here, put that on there, then I can go up here and I can buy or grab one of these men or women tiles here. So you can see the dice in between there, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that basically means I can get any of the ones up to the number 4. If I had rolled a 6, I could grab the 6 and anything down. 6s are good because you can basically grab anything with it. So I may take one of these and then grab it, and then I'll need to put it in an open space there. Let me just take one at random here. I'll take this guy here. He's an easy one. I'll move him over there and put him there. So that would be that action there. Now, if somebody else wanted to come over here and activate this and grab, you know, a man or a woman tile there, they would have to place a dice lower than the 4. So let's pretend this is a green die here. He'd have to come here with a 2, and then he's got a little bit less options because he can only grab anything with the 2 or less there. So you're kind of locking him out here. So if you put a big number there, you're going to get a bunch, but you're going to let other people come in, you know, with lesser dice. So if I had gone in here and say I put this 1 on there, so then I've got low choice, but maybe I really wanted like this tile, so I didn't really care about, you know, any other options. I put a 1 there, and I grab maybe this tile here. Let's just grab it for now. So I grab that, and then now nobody can basically place there for the most part. You can get those God cards up here. I'll take a look up there. So those will actually, some of them will help you with the placement down here. Think of it sort of like your workers in Die Burgen von Bergen or Castles of Burgundy. The cards up here are what's going to allow you to sort of mitigate your dice rolls and then, you know, sort of play around and get around some of the different things. So this one you can buy, you know, you get a man or woman tile that you can then activate later. This one here you can build a building. And so the way that you build a building here is you're going to get resources and goods on here. And so when you get a resource, then you're going to put these on here like so, and then if you get 2 that are adjacent either horizontally or vertically, then you can take the action to build a building. So you can see here's the dice as well. So if I zoom over here, let's just use the 4. I place a 4 there. I can come back over here, and then I can build anything from a 4 or lower. So I could take the 4 here, and then I could build over these, and then I'm going to take these goods off here, and then I can build that, and then I'm trying to basically fill up this board. And you want to either fill it up with goods at the end of the game or buildings, and then you can see the little icon there. You're going to get points and then take a fire action here, and you can see round by round here, this is showing you the number of points that you're going to get. So in the first 2 rounds, remember there's 6 columns here of these jewelry tiles here. You're going to get, so you got 6 rounds, and then you got basically 10 points in the first 2 rounds every time you build a building there. And then in rounds 3 and 4 you get 7, and then it gets a little bit less there. So you're going to do that. You get the points, a lot of points for building early. It's kind of like Burgundy where, you know, you're filling up your little areas there, so you want to kind of fill up the little small areas, get them quick, get those initial points. And then you're going to take the fire action. So the fire action is depicted here. So in this case you can draw a card or get an offering. You can do either of those, and then you can get sort of an influence or get a shell. So you can get one of these and then one of these, and that's it. And then you also get fire actions when you take the priest action. So let's talk about that now. The priest action is here. So if I put a die on the priest, let's just use the 4 again since it's flexible. I'll put that there. Then I can go up to the temple. And you see that's the temple there. So you got 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then I can basically put it, remember I used a 4, so I could put it on the 4 or lower if I wanted to. Now if there's somebody else's priest there, then I would displace them and then they would shift to the right. So if the green player's priest was there, I put that down, they would move over, and then they would shift everybody else over and then possibly kick somebody out, and it goes back into their supply there. So you're going to get points at the end of the round for these, And then also, when you place a guy there, you're going to get to take again that fire action, will let you draw a god card or get an offering or a shell and stuff like that. So that's the priest action there. And then at the end of the round, whoever has the most priests in there is going to get one of these god tiles here. And you start the game off with one of these, and these are basically like a wild of any of the 5 types of cards shown up there. So that can also be useful. Oh, and I should say here, you can see at the this little spot here. So in the first 2 rounds, you got the points for buildings there. You've also got the points for priests. So for any priests in there, at the start of the game, you're going to get 1 point. And then at the end of the game, you're going to get 3 points for each priest you have in there. Next, we have the little expand action. And in a 2-player game, you can use this tile. So let's say I put a 4 there. Then you can either expand over water or over land. And with more players, there's basically a tile specific to water and a tile specific to land. So if we look at the island here, we can see we've got some little travel paths there. So we've got a 3 and a 5 here. Those are going over water. If we look here, we've got a 4, and that's going over land. So I placed a 4, okay? So that means I can go over anything that's a 4 or lower. But to set the game up, each player is going to place one of their little huts here next to a fish that is worth 1 point. So if we look at that there, we're going to put that guy there, and then that's our starting point, let's say. And then you're also going to get the resource here. So in this case, we get a wood or one of these little brown cylinders here to start the game off, to give us a little bit of a head start in wood. And then you're going to start there. So now, if we've taken that advance action, that expand action, we can go over anything that is basically 4 or less. So if I wanted to, I could come down here, I could take this one off, and then I could go across this land one, because again, this tile is either or. You can do water or land. So I could go there, I'd put my little guy there, and then this would give me an offering. So these are the offerings here. These are going to be used for playing God cards. I'll talk about that in a minute. So when you expand, you're going to immediately get that, and then get that resource. Now if somebody else was there, let's say, this was another player there, and then I expanded over here, then I would take my little hut, and then I would kick him out. He'd still stay in there, but then my guy would be in there, and then I would get a resource like so. And then you're going to get points at the end of the game for each hut that you have on an actual space. You don't get any points for just having a hut there and you got in there early, but you're going to get points for having kind of the last hut in each of these spots. And then also, basically, if you filled up the board again and cleared off all of your little huts there, you're going to get some points. Now I'm going to talk quickly about a God card here. When you do this, and I'll talk more about the other God cards in just a second, but when you expand, at the instant that you place the hut, you can play a God card, a red God card here. And you can see here, this is 1 to 6 is going to give me 1 to 6. So I'm going to look at that little fishy there, and I'm going to get that number of points. Now anytime that you play a God card, you have to spend one of these offerings to play it. So you just play the God card, and then boom, I could score the 5 points there. Now the next thing here is this little catch-all action. This is called like the helper action. So when you place a die here, let's place the 4 again, you're going to be able to spend basically that many points worth of stuff to trade in for things. And so let's take a look at the market. Okay, so here's the market here. And again, remember we're spending 4 points worth of stuff. So you've got 1 for 1 here. So I could spend, maybe 1 point activating a man tile, another point activating, a woman tile, and then maybe 2 points to get 2 pips to get 2 points. So there's 4 points. And then at a 2 for 1 ratio here, I can get any resource I want. So I can spend 2 of those pips to get a wood and maybe 2 more to get a brick or something. I can get an offering. I can go and draw a God card up there from the display. You can get one face up there or one off the top of the deck if you want. And then you can do something kind of interesting here. You can take a hut from your display here. So if you look at the hut here, and so you can take one of the huts up here and then move it down here to the bottom space, to this 12th space here. So this is going to allow you to free up space. Even though you haven't expanded, you're still freeing up space for the people to come in here and do work for you. So that is the market. This is kind of interesting. This feels a little bit sort of clunky sometimes, but I kind of get used to it after a bit. It's kind of like, this is where the felledness of it really kind of comes out. It's like, boy, this is just a mishmash of just a vomit salad of victory points kind of thing. I don't really mind it. At first I was like, holy cow, this is like, okay, we couldn't integrate this thematically, so we're just going to make it a market where you can just kind of do whatever you want to help you. But after a while, you kind of see the importance of this. And it actually reminds me of a game I recently played called New Amsterdam, where you kind of have your set actions, and then you get like a sort of little special catch-all actions. But they're a little bit more thematically integrated in that game. This one's fine, though. It tends to work out. So that's the kind of the different actions that you're going to do in that phase there. Oh, So the thing is here, when you take this action here to activate these people here, let's take a look here. So what you're going to do here is you're actually going to drop these down. So you can do these once per turn. So if we take a look at this here, the women are all going to give us shells. The men are going to give us influence. Or this is basically like tattooing the men. It's sort of a prestigious thing. So let's say I took one of those pips and I activated her. I'd move her down. Now she's showing a check mark, which means she's been used. I'd get my 4 shells. And again, shells are used to purchase jewelry, which we'll do at the end of the round. And I'll get the 4 shells, so I can do that. If I activate the guy here, then he's going to move up 3 spaces on this sort of influence track. So here's the influence track, and there'll be some stacks here. And this determines the turn order. The turn order is seated randomly. At the beginning of the game, we'll pass out these tiles, 1, 2, 3, 4 here. And then at the end of the round, depending on how far you've moved up, basically how many dudes got tattooed, you're going to basically stack all these back up. So whoever's furthest along is going to go on top here. You're going to have a stack of discs here, and then you're going to redo the turn order basically top down. They're also going to get points here. So if I ended up in here, I would get 6 points for that round. So that's like I guess he has to have that in every single game. Like, I don't know, You're the Dragon, the Bergen von Bergen. I can't remember. There's another game where it's got that kind of resetting turn order thing, but that is when you're going to activate the people here, the men and women tiles there. You're either going to get shells or basically points or influence there. After we've done that, you're going to go activate the men and women tiles here. So didn't we just activate those? Well, no, we used them in a sense in the previous thing, but when you activate them, it doesn't matter if they've been used or not. They could be up or down, so let's just leave it like that. When you activate them in this phase here, you're going to be able to get the right-hand side thing. So if I activate this lady here, I just get 2 points. And I activated this guy, I would get an offering. Okay, you can activate 1 woman and 1 man. However, if I had 2 men that gave me the same thing here, and I believe there's 6 of each. So if there's 6 dudes that give you these offerings here. So if I had 2 of these out and I activated it, I could sort of combine them for a stronger action, and I would get 2 offerings here. Or if I had a couple of these different ladies, let's say I had 3 of these, I could activate them all at once. But you can basically just activate 1 and then 1 of the other. So you activate 1 woman and 1 man, but if you have the extras, it strengthens your action. And again, it doesn't matter if they're up or down, you just kind of get the little bonuses there. So after we do our 3 dice and then take our actions, we're going to get this little work ability that these people have. And then we're going to go into phase C, and you see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can see on the board here we've got 1, 2, 3, and then 4 down here. So we're going to resolve this. We're going to reset the turn order. So all the stuff that happens after this is going to be in the new turn order. You're going to get your points again for that. You're going to get your points for your priests here. And then we're going to be able to buy jewelry. So in the first round, we're going to be able to buy these. And again, you can see this is where the shells come in. You get those from activating the ladies there. And so in turn order, people are going to be able to buy the shells. And so if you can't afford one, then you're stuck with one. So, you're stuck without getting them. And if you're able to buy 6 of these, if you get all 6 of these, then you're going to get some extra bonus points there as well as any of that tie-in with these task tiles here. Remember this one, if you have 2 of those, you get some extra points. So we're going to do that. We're going to do basically turn order, temple, buy some jewelry, and then we're going to go down here. And then anybody that can activate one of their tasks here. So if we take a look here, let's remember this one. If I've got 3 huts on the board, I'll be able to use that, and then I can get 6 points. Now there's a 4-point thing here. You need to use a God card there, and I'll explain. I'm going to go over the God cards here at the end, but you can use God cards to help you if you're short on one of your tasks. So after the tasks have been done, then in turn order we can kind of draft these and add a new one to our board, and then we're going to flesh out all of the men and women that weren't used. We're going to draw new ones from the supply. We'll get new tasks from the supply, reset. We'll go into the second round there. Okay, so let's go over the God tiles very quickly here. So we've got the blue one here. So if you have the blue one, and I should say you start the game off with 2 of these, and again, you can buy them here, or maybe some of the men or women you get will let you get God cards, but you can also buy them here for 2 for 1. So the blue one, if I play this, and remember you've always got to pay an offering. If I play this, then I can put my die on one of these action tiles here, even if it's greater than or equal to the existing die. So that is very, very awesome there. And then, if I want, I can play this white one here, and basically says whatever die I put on there is going to equal a 6. So if I play this white one, paying an offering, I can pretend that's a 6. Now you can even combine these here. So if I played a blue one, I could play whatever I want. Let's say somebody had played a 1, and then I play that one, and I put like a 3 on there, and then I play that, and that 3 becomes a 6. You don't change the dice, but you just treat it as a 6. So those are pretty handy. This is how you're going to get out of, you know, your bad rolls there. So you want to get a bunch of these. Again, I talked about the red one. Again, that's when you expand. You're going to get the points for the fish that you expanded into. This green one is very interesting here. This is also a very one that makes you flexible and adaptable here. When I do this here, I'll play this one when I'm activating the right hand side of these, and that's going to kind of like double whatever I did. So if I played this guy here again with an offering, then I could get, you know, 2 of these. Or if I had 2 of these already, I would get 2, and then I could double it and I get 4. So these are really sort of a nice little engine builder thing there. Then finally we have the yellow one. And the yellow one has to do with the tasks down here. So you remember I said, okay, if you complete this, you'll get 6 points. So if I had 3 huts, you know, out there on the board, and let me just take it off there. So let's say I only have 2. If I had 3, then I can do this, get 6 points. But if I play the God card, you can see it says -1. It's got the little green rectangle there that matches those tiles. I can reduce the requirement there for that. So I could play this, and it's spending an offering, and then I can only need 2 huts out there. So then I'm good to go on there. I activate this. I'm only going to get 4 points, but I can still activate it, put it face down here, and then I only get 4 points. But I didn't skip around, because if you're able to get 9 of these, you're going to get some extra bonus points at the end of the game. Okay, and again, the game, this gives you the end of game bonus point thing. I already kind of talked to you about that. Basically, you want to clear this out, fill this up with either buildings and or goods, or basically you want to fill it up with buildings. You get more points for that. And then what else do you get? You get points for any of these God tiles here. Remember, these are rewarded for whoever has the majority in there, and these can be used as any God card, but if you don't use them, you get 2 points for each of those. And then you're going to get the points here. So it's at the end of the game, who's ever last into the spot is going to get that many points again for the fish. And then the jewelry here, I don't think I was clear. You don't actually score this until the end of the game. You're going to put these over here, face down right there, and so you're not going to quite know who's got all the points there. So I really like this game. I'm really enjoying it, and that's why, you know, I kind of want to get the video done, because it's really, really fun. You know, there's something about it that's not quite sitting right. I don't know what it is, but I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm going to review it more, and I'll probably just do like a talking head kind of thing. I won't sit here and show you how to play the game again. I really like the cards. I'm a sucker for anything that's card driven and kind of building your hand and sort of planning your turn that way. And I just like that. I'm just a card guy, I guess. And I like, I should say off the top here, the production value of these is much better than Die Bergen von Bergen. Now, Aaliyah made also, I don't know if you can see that, Aaliyah made Die Bergen von Bergen, and that was just horrific components. This is nice. I mean, it's busy as all get, but once hopefully I was a little bit clear on this stuff. This is actually like, you look at this and you're like, oh my God, like what the heck? There's so much stuff here, but it's actually useful, and it's just like, halfway through, your second turn, you're like, okay, I know what all this does. This is pretty easy. And so the iconography and everything is very indicative. Oh, like I just forgot over here. There's a spot here that you should never use. If you can't go anywhere, you can put a dice there and get 2 points, and anybody can go in there. There's no restriction on, the value of the dice or whatever. So anyway, that's Bora Bora. And, if you're thinking about getting one of those imports, I would say just get it, because you're probably a Steffenfeld nut. If you end up not liking the game, don't hate me for it. I guess you could, if you really value my opinion that much, then you could wait for the full review. But there hasn't been a Bora Bora video uploaded for like the last 5 minutes, so I figured I got to get one to fill the gap. So thanks.